Please direct your attention to our online press kit at www.nigc.gov/media. Following this live press statement, a written press release including charts and graphics will be available on our website for download. The NIGC commissioners will be available for questions from the press for 10 minutes after the commission statements. Please keep your questions within the subject matter of the 2015 Indian Country gross gaming revenues. All comments will be on the record. Good morning. I am Sarah Bessio, the Director of Public Affairs for the National Indian Gaming Commission. Thank you for joining us for our annual announcement of Indian Country's gross gaming revenue. You will find our event streaming live on Facebook and Twitter to make sure everyone can get access to this important information. We will be hearing brief statements about Indian Country's 2015 GGR numbers from the Chairman of the National Indian Gaming Commission, Osceola Chowdhury, as well as Vice Chair Kathryn Ice Klaus and Associate Commissioner Meyer. Our Director of Finance, Yvonne Lee, will also be available at the conclusion of this announcement to answer questions as well. I would like to introduce Chairman Chowdhury.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, XG. My name is Osceola Chowdhury. I'm a proud citizen of the Muskogee Creek Nation, and I am honored to serve as the National Indian Gaming Commission Chairman. Thank you for joining us live for this announcement of Indian Country's 2015 gross gaming revenue. This is the first time that the NIGC has broadcast these numbers live from Indian Country. In fact, we are bringing you this important announcement directly from the homelands of the Cabazon Band of Mission Indians. I would like to thank Chairman Doug Wellness, the Cabazon government, and the citizens of Cabazon for hosting us today so that we can make this important announcement. The Cabazon people, as well as other tribal nations in the area, have had a historic role in the development of Indian gaming as we know it today. 30 years ago, Cabazon and the Morongo Band of Mission Indians argued before the United States Supreme Court that as sovereign nations, they possessed the inherent authority to regulate gaming within their jurisdictions. In the years before this argument, Cabazon and other tribal nations had begun developing modest gaming operations on their lands as a means of providing critically needed services to their people. Had Cabazon not succeeded in its arguments, the ability of all tribal nations to pursue this vital path of economic development and self-sufficiency could have been forever foreclosed. Instead, in the watershed decision of California versus Cabazon, the Supreme Court agreed with the tribe's arguments and reaffirmed Indian Nation's inherent sovereign authority. The Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, the 1988 federal law that followed, while narrowing the holding of this historic case, was expressly written to uphold tribal self-sufficiency and self-determination, protect the integrity of Indian gaming, and provide a safe and secure environment for fair play. The strong regulation that IGRA provides has played a key role in the stability and growth of the Indian gaming industry by providing consistency and predictability, requirements for any financial market. That stability comes from solid operations, strong tribal management, and effective regulation by approximately 6,000 tribal regulators, the primary regulators of Indian gaming. Thanks to strong regulation, the gross gaming revenue is the highest it's ever been, showing the biggest increase nationwide over the last 10 years. Now let me say that again, the biggest increase in 10 years. So now we're proud to announce that Indian Country's 2015 gross gaming revenue was $29.9 billion. This number is 5% higher than 2014's revenue. In our view, this number reflects the fruits of tribal innovation and self-sufficiency efforts, and is made possible in part to a healthy and robust regulatory structure. NIGC is proud to partner with tribes and tribal regulators to support these strong attribute NIGC's part to our constant and diligent efforts embodied in our 4 current initiatives: staying ahead of the technology curve, rural outreach, maintaining a strong workforce, both internally and among our regulatory partners, and addressing anything that amounts to gamesmanship on the backs of tribes. Each of these 4 initiatives are drawn directly from IGRA's mandate to achieve the law's purposes of tribal self-sufficiency, self-determination, and economic development.
Thank you, Chairman Chowdhury. Good morning. I'm Kathryn Ice Klaus, Vice Chair of the Commission and a citizen of Taos Pueblo. Gross gaming revenue, or GGR, is the revenue wagered on games minus winnings returned to players. GGR is the figure used to determine what a gaming operation earns before salaries, revenue sharing with states, and other expenses are paid. Gross gaming revenues should not be interpreted as a profit margin. In other words, GGR is the equivalent of sales, not profit. The 2015 GGR was calculated based on independently audited financial statements received by 238 tribes. The increase in gross gaming revenue shows the progress made toward the key policy initiatives of IGRA. Indian Country Gaming, unlike commercial gaming enterprises, funds critical governmental programs for tribal citizens. Most tribal gaming operations are in rural parts of the country and began as modest efforts to create jobs and provide much-needed services. Many small and moderately sized gaming operations support rural economic development where little else has. This is why rural outreach is such an important initiative of the National Indian Gaming Commission. 57% of the total 474 tribal gaming operations have a gross gaming revenue under $25 million. Additionally, 20% of tribal gaming operations have a GGR under $3 million. In contrast, only 6.5% of tribal gaming operations have a GGR of $250 million or more. Just like the growth of Cabazon's operations from a modest facility to what it is today, we have seen, time and time again, the benefits of gaming for tribes, as well as neighboring communities across the nation.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ice Klaus. Good morning. I'm Meyer, a citizen of the Harriet Indian Tribe from North Carolina and the National Indian Gaming Commission's Associate Commissioner. The NIGC's field work is divided among 7 administrative regions across the country. The regions are determined based on geographic location and are not a reflection of economy or market share. Each of the NIGC 7 regions experienced growth in their regional gross gaming revenue for 2015. The Sacramento region, which includes California and Northern Nevada, showed the highest percentage increase at 8% growth. The Oklahoma City and the Tulsa regions were not far behind, with 6.7% and 6.5% growth. Our other regions showed growth between 3 and 4%. The industry's growth last year represents the first time since 2012 that there has been annual growth in every region's gross gaming revenue. As the industry grows, the National Indian Gaming Commission will maintain its commitment to innovate as it meets its statutory purpose. The Chairman's initiatives are the NIGC's promise to support innovations in both workforce and technological capacity at the agency and among our regulatory partners. Through partnerships, we can better assess where these innovations will best help to guarantee compliance and integrity that will lead to continued progress for all of Indian country. The National Indian Gaming Commission has worked hard to support the 3-tier regulatory framework that contributed to this significant increase in gross gaming revenue. As federal regulators, our agency's credibility and success relies on our partnerships with fellow regulators. Strong partnerships are only possible with the dedicated service, experience, and institutional knowledge of the National Indian Gaming Commission staff. Thank you.
Our partnership and hard work have strengthened Indian gaming into the important economic engine that it is today, the best it has been in 30 years, and showing the biggest increase nationwide in the last 10 years. Think about everything that's happened in those 10 years and how tribal innovation and strong regulation, aided by appropriate contributions from partners such as the NIGC, has helped weather the storms of those 10 years. Remember that Indian gaming is fundamentally different than commercial enterprises. It directly provides resources for Indian people. Resources including social services, public works, education, housing, healthcare, emergency services, public safety, and cultural preservation programs that no other economic driver has yet to provide to the same degree. And at the same time, we acknowledge that these positive gains have impacted tribes in different ways, with the large majority of facilities being modest, small, or medium-sized operations. Nor do these gains diminish the federal government's responsibility to continue to support Indian country's diverse economies. I want to again thank the Cabzon Band of Mission Indians for hosting us this morning, and to everyone that attended today's announcement in person or online. May we continue to work together to preserve the integrity of Indian gaming, to serve the important goals of supporting tribal self-sufficiency and strong tribal governments.
We will now open the floor to questions for 10 minutes. In order to ensure that as many of you as possible have the opportunity to ask questions, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up question. If time remains, we will come back around for the questions again. Please raise your hand until I acknowledge you and provide your name and your affiliation for the record. We will now take the first question.
Hi, good morning. I'm Laura Yanez with News Channel 3 and CBS Local 2 here in the Coachella Valley. The Coachella Valley definitely loves seeing what the gaming is able to do for our area, and we have multiple tribes here. How could we say that this makes an impact for us here locally in the Coachella Valley?
Thank you. As we mentioned in our announcement, we're respectful of the important historic role that Cabzon, Morongo, and other tribes in the valley have contributed to economic development nationally. It's not just been an effort in the legal arena, but it's been an effort in the marketplace. We recognize that gross gaming revenue is just one indication of the health of the market. It's a strong indication that reflects the innovation of the tribes, but it also reflects the strong regulation that the tribes engage in partnership with NIGC and in many cases state regulators as well. So to answer your question, in terms of recognizing tribal contributions as the primary regulators of Indian gaming as well as the primary beneficiaries of Indian gaming, continuing to recognize their role in that regard, I think is important for anybody who cares about the connection between Indian gaming and real people's lives on the ground.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for participating in our press conference regarding 2015 gross gaming revenues. One final reminder, gross gaming revenue materials are available online in our media center at www.nigc/media. You may contact the Division of Public Affairs at 202-632-7003 if you have any further questions. Thank you again